Well, a very good day and welcome to the Laura Fergus podcast. I'm Ryan Joyce.
And I'm Barb Boy, and we have with us one of our soon-to-be all-time favorite guests because we're going to visit a lot with Pat Mestern here at the Laura Fergus podcast. We want you to know the stories that make up our community. No one better to do that than the infamous Pat Mestern. Pat, we're going to invite you to tell a little bit about yourself and then just start talking about the mammoth bones and the story therein.
Well, I'm, I guess, a local historian. And I do try to learn as much about local history as possible, as I had 2 years ago when I was a child, kid, teenager. It's very interesting, actually. I enjoy it. Mammoth bones. I didn't realize that there were any mammoth bones discovered in the Fergus area until I was going through some papers and journals that belonged to James Webster, co-founder of Fergus, that belonged to Mrs. Corcoran, his daughter, actually. And granddaughter too, another Mrs. Corcoran, Miss Corcoran. Anyway, I found this information about these mammoth bones that Thomas Cruz and Allerdice had found on his farm. And then I found information that was actually written by James or Thomas Young, the gentleman who owned this house, who built this house, my house. It was all about the mammoth bones that Allerdice had found on his property, which is today BD Line on Colburn Street. So he owned the farm there that had the really beautiful stone house on it for, I don't know if it's still standing or not, but where the new subdivision is now. And apparently he was doing some work on the farm, and he was doing some digging, and he didn't have to dig very far apparently, but he found almost a complete skeleton of what would be a mammoth or a mastodon. He never really did know. He got in touch with Webster and Young because they were friends of his. They went to university together over in Scotland, and they took a look at them, and they realized just how ancient they were. And they decided that what they would do was rebury them, but not where they found them. Allerdice decided to bury them on a portion of his land that he knew he would never, ever farm, just because of the way that the land was. Webster helped him, Young helped him, and the bones were gone until another lot were found in 1839 by Allerdice. Now, these were near that Kettle Lake, or I call it the bottomless pit out there, just off BD Line. Just past the roundabout. You have to be very careful around there because I actually saw a deer disappear one day. It crossed the road. It walked in to get a drink. I think it jumped the fence, walked in to get a drink, and it slowly just vanished. So I would assume that the mastodon or mammoth must have done the same thing. The farm that Allerdice had was actually left to his daughter. The land where he probably found the bones was left to his son. He told his son where he buried them, but he never told the daughter. So they've never been found.
What do you mean they slowly disappeared? This is just becoming a sci-fi now.
Well, the thing is that land out there, it has, I call it like a bottomless bog, but it actually, in some cases, there is actually an area where it was full of water and muck, clay. I'm just black soil. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but the thing was, it was just water and soil, and the people just sank in it. The thing there is down below it, there is an ancient gorge 300 feet below, and the water from that area just trickles down into that gorge. And so that area on BD Line, everybody was warned not to go near it and not to let their kids go near it. People are walking in it today, and they say, well, we lose our rubber boots. Well, the thing is, they could lose their lives depending on the amount of water that is coming up through the soil again, or going down through the sand, the clay.
Well, how did the bones get found? I don't like. I'm
sorry.
How did the bones get found then?
Well, I would imagine that they just simply sank, and they sank so far, that I don't know how far he dug, it didn't say, but I would imagine that over time that it changed a little bit, so that when he was digging in that area, and I think it was on the west side of Beatty Line on his farm, but on the west side, there must have been an area there, which, was sort of similar. So I think that probably the mammoth must have gotten stuck somehow in that area, in that feature, in that water feature, just like the one up in Luther Marsh in Melanchthon Township. They found,
I don't mean to start a conspiracy here, but I'm not putting aside the idea that maybe Dr. Grove's alligator ate all those people. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure to go listen to that episode with Pat Mestern and discuss.
That could be too.
But do they have any photos of these bones?
Nothing, because when he buried them, like it was 1837, the first lot. Second lot was just a few. He buried them in the same area, never told anybody. There were no cameras. People have said, I don't believe that. I think he must have sold them. No, because in the 1830s and 40s, although they were being spoken of around the world, or at least in Europe, the universities were beginning to teach about that. Here, it didn't matter. And that was what, James Webster and Thomas Young, they actually helped them bury them, and they never told anybody where they were. So they're there, unless that new subdivision happens to hit them at some point in time.
We need a mystery sound effect in here. Dun dun dun.
Well, I think it's great.
Well, I just didn't even know about them either, and I mean, nobody knew about them except that they were in these journals and these letters. And the awful thing is that Mrs. Corcoran decided that she wanted her son, after she died, she wasn't going to give them anywhere. She wanted her son to give them to the local museum after she passed away. That didn't happen. Nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows where her son is.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they didn't end up anywhere. This 2 boxes of letters of wonderful information that Teddy and I were allowed to go through at her house in Brantford, they disappeared. Period. They're gone.
Huh.
Yeah.
I still blame the alligator.
I go with that, and I love the idea that these letters that you refer to, these journals that you refer to, tell our listeners how you have access to them.
Well, when I was doing the book, the 2 books in 1983, there was a lady who actually got in touch with me, which was Mrs. Corcoran, the granddaughter of James Webster, who said, come to Brantford. I have something that you'd like to see. I'd never heard of her. I didn't know about her. So Teddy and I drove to Brantford. Lovely person. She sat us down. She had these 2 big boxes of things that she brought out, and she said, you can go through these. Well, we started to go through them, but, we went home Saturday night. We drove back on Sunday. We went back the next Saturday, Sunday. We went back the next Saturday and Sunday. But she wouldn't let us take anything home to read. Like, we had to literally sit in her house and read these things and take notes, which we did.
Where are they now?
Well, that's the whole thing. But after I said to her, these have to be given to the museum, the local museum, or the provincial museum. Oh yes, it's my son will do that. No, he never did. I don't know where they are. I don't know where her son is. I've tried to find him.
Fascinating. Ryan, can you even hold on for the next Pat Mestern, amazing stories from Pat Mestern? Like, are you
binge-worthy content? Fascinating stories, Pat. My goodness. And this is a call out to you, the listener. If you have this feels like the mysteries unsolved. If you know the whereabouts of the box of stories, please let us know. Call.
Notes, letters.
Never mind. Next on Geraldo. It's next on ESP.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for sharing these with us, Pat. We are all a bit wiser.
Thanks, Pat. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.